So a few weeks ago, I was sharing on my YouTube channel, one of the first videos I did for this new channel, about the new travisnielsen.com, my website design refresh that I was planning. And I'm excited to say that right now it's live, it's finished, it's complete. I'm still iterating a little bit on the nuances of it, but mostly it's like shipped. V1.0 is shipped, and I'm very excited about that. So the video that I made the other week was mostly about the design that I was planning on. It was basically just mock-ups at the time. And since then, I just kind of just stopped doing the mock-ups and jumped straight into code. I guess I was too excited. And so I completed the design iterations in the code itself. And what I thought might be a fun video is to walk through the results of that and kind of compare where the design left off and the coding began, and the iterations and the design decisions that happened after that. I really want to show that, like the video that I made recently, that the code is a design tool. It is a communication tool. I can make decisions and iterate in code, and that's just perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. Okay, so here on the left, we have the designs that I actually already showed you this in a previous video. And then here we have production level code. This is travisnielsen.com. It's live. And so what we're seeing here is like a mobile version of it. And you know, the design is responsive. In fact, it's mobile first. So the first thing I would do is design this look, and then I would bring it wider and say, okay, like how can I make this look right on a bigger screen? So mostly this is kind of just the same. Nothing had really changed except for right here when I had planned to make this mobile menu, I had no designs completed for the mobile menu at all. So I had to like invent this all myself. So, and I'm pretty excited about it. It looks pretty nice. I think we have this cute little animation when we hover over it. And then there's a very nice little bounce that happens when you open the menu. And then these links have a nice kind of like background fill from the bottom as well. And that same background fill shows up here on these links as well. Now there are three ways to navigate this website, and the first is unique only to the home page because you can click on the links inside of this descriptive text to take you to the different sections of the website. So let's go to videos. Now this is the videos page, and you can see from left to right that there was certainly an evolution in the way I was thinking about presenting the content. The thing that did survive, though, is this paragraph, which was a very weird paragraph in the fact that I had to kind of like chop it up and float this image underneath it and stuff. So it's still, again, mobile friendly. We have these like very cute like animations here when you want to click on the videos. But the things that changed the most were these like, I call them call out boxes, these sections that would talk about the different ways in that I do video. Here they had very strong borders and hard angles and drop shadows. Here we have softer shadows, softer angles, and no borders at all. So it kind of like really like cheers it up, brightens it up, softens it up a little bit. And then one of the last things as well was I had this idea for the call to action at the end of every page to be kind of like asymmetrical and off to the right. And it didn't really work that well. It was kind of like hard to see, hard to find. And so I iterated in the code and invented this kind of button here with this little fun little bounce, few elements bouncing at different rates. And the color is a lot more striking and in your face. And so this change took a little while. There was a few different versions that came out of it. I think over here I was iterating on a few of the looks that might happen. But generally, I'm really happy with the call to actions here at the bottom. And finally, the thing you don't see here at all when I was iterating earlier is what happens when you get down to the page. When I was doing the coding, I realized that I would go through the navigation, get down to the page, and feel just kind of stuck, like it was the end. And so I made another design decision in code to create these navigational buttons, kind of like a pagination button. So let's go to speaking and see what's happened there. You can see that as I go through the pages on the left here, they get less and less finalized and more just like notes. Like right down here on the bottom of speaking, it says recording of my talks, and that's like the design that far. Okay, so let's go back up to the top. I had like this idea for a video again, and following the video section, I just took those patterns and iterated on them. But when I got into code, I realized that like there's other types of artifacts out there, and I found this really nice kind of what is it called? Instagram photo that was taken of me when I was hosting an event, and I was kind of just like hyping up the crowd and stuff, and it was kind of like a fun photo. So I decided to take that Instagram as an artifact and kind of embed it into the page. And then like iterating on the style of it. It's not just a default, iframe embed from Instagram.com. It's an actual, I stole the image, made it look like my website, but also still tried to kind of keep the design of Instagram there. And then I don't really think I decided this at all in the code, but I figured out like, I should speak to the organizers of the events that I've worked with in the past and get them to send me quotes. And here's a quick tip: if you guys are getting quotes from clients, I didn't email Dawn and say, Dawn, can you write something for me for my website? I wrote this out for her, and I said, Dawn, I know you're busy. Can you just give me a quick okay on this? Can you give me a quick approval on this quote, and I can put it on my website and explain kind of like what I was doing? And she was like, looks good to me. And that's all she had to do. Like, she didn't have to like formulate the sentence on her own. And this is two benefits. Number one is that it happens faster. It's more likely to happen if they have to do less work. And number two is you get them to say exactly what you want to fit your message and your motive. If I was like, Dawn, can you just write something? She'd be like, Travis is so nice, or he's good at speaking. And like, that's not the voice that I want. I want her to say why she continues to bring me back to her events. So anyway, that's just a side note for y'all. If you guys are getting like clients to be on your website as like testimonials, write the testimonial for them, send it to them and be like, I want to include this on my website. Is this cool with you? Can I have your sign off? If they email you back and say, yes, it's cool, you have that documentation in your email, and it's fine, you're good. Here's an embed from a podcast where I was working, it wasn't with Dawn, it was with another promoter, and I kind of like recorded a talk live, and so there it is right there. I recommend you guys listen to that one. And then Dan, same thing. I sent him the quote, and I was like, is this good? He says, looks good for me, thanks a lot. And then I included topics that I speak about often, and I wanted to go back. This is an iteration I'm going to be doing in the future, is that I'm going to make some presentation materials, like a slide deck or something, and link them in right here so people can, so like the audience looking at this page would be, right, like an event promoter, and they'd be like, what does Travis talk about? What are examples of his talks? Well, they have that recording above. They have some quotes from other promoters and organizers, and then here, ideally, and I'll continue iterating on this, but they'll be able to click through and see like a presentation, my slide decks and my thoughts like layered out, like written out, so they can like read through it and be like, I get that logic. Those are really good points. Let me contact Travis. And then when they're ready to contact me, they still got this like happy little call to action right there. So what I like about this pagination here at the bottom is that it maintains the bounciness of the float here, but this back button is really, I think, is a lot of fun because it sinks below the page in like this kind of Z. So what I did to create that effect is I increased the inset shadow, and then for the letters, I moved them down, just, transition the top attributes just to scoot them down a few pixels, and it makes them look like they're sinking back into the Z of the page, which is really fun. Let's go to the next section, podcasts. Okay, so this was an interesting one. I didn't have a lot planned here either, but actually I think it kind of turned out pretty much what I was planning. The only thing that was iterated on here was, instead of saying selected episodes, I invented this new kind of display type where I would take this box and, similar to the other box that you'd seen that was floating, and say like, okay, how can I put this directly on the surface? And so I made it like a dotted line around and then behind the floating artifacts. So now these playable podcast covers are still there and available. And then the bounding box is not necessarily around all of the artifacts, but it's tying them together and helping you understand what they represent. And then section 2 here would be that floating artifact, that floating call out box again, with links to other podcasts that I've been a guest of that are not necessarily my podcasts. and then a call to action for podcast people to be like, hey, invite me into your podcast because I feel like speaking more on podcasts. All right, this writing section here, or the writing page here, evolved probably the most out of all of them, because you can see on the left, my intent was to create a space where people could sign up for my newsletter. And then I was like, well, if I have signups and I have this space, I want to talk about the fact that I write, I guess I have to start writing again. And while I was going through that process and looking at my old writings and kind of like just trying to figure out the strategy there, I realized that I don't want to start sending newsletter emails again, but I want to collect them, the ones that I've done before, and put them in a book. And I'm really excited about this, guys. This is the first time I've talked about it on the website, but I'm going to be writing a book. And this page on the website, travisnielsen.com/book/notes/writings, they all go here. There's redirects. They all go here. And it's a place for people to sign up for their email and get updates about the book that I'm collecting and putting together. And I made a video about it. You guys can watch it. Go to the website and watch the video. And then you can also read a few of the samples of the notes that I've written in the past. And you can see how different this is from what I had planned to do. And I'm really kind of excited about this portion of it. But there's a few other design inventions, like hanging buttons right here, that were not obviously planned here on the left. And then this other type of bounding box, which is like this diagonal shade. I needed a way to like call attention to that this snippet of text was related to this image below, but not overpower it and not have it hanging out in the wild. So this kind of little design element binds these two elements together. And let's use the top menu to travel to the more section. Oh yeah, each of these sections has a specific color if you haven't noticed. So if I go to writings or podcasts, the menu will all have that purple, and same with speaking here. Like it will all, each section has their own color and the menu even reflects that. So the more section is something that was kind of definitely an afterthought, because I've been doing a lot of different things. And so I thought, well, why don't I just put this link down here, this 3-dot button link down here at the bottom, and then it would take you to a more section. And then after a while, I was like, well, why don't I just also have the more here? And since I launched this website 2 days ago, it's been funny. I've been looking at the analytics. The more page is the second highest visited page. Like people are really curious about the more. And I guess I need to figure out why, but the more just links to my my Instagram accounts, like just kind of like the other things that I do that are not necessarily specific to the Travis Nielsen designer brand, but there are also expressions that I'm proud of and I want to talk about, but this is not necessarily the right place. So this is the more. So the first one it's called Good Songs Sung Bad. This is like I play guitar and I sing really poorly, but I sing songs that are really good. And that's an Instagram account. I've been doing mostly live streams, but I only have a few like recorded and produced and like, like evergreen versions of it. And then my paintings. I call my painter persona Trash Can Hands to separate that from Travis Nielsen because I don't want to be known as a painter. Although I think painting is a very important self-expressive medium for my mental health. I don't want to be known for it publicly or at least as my design persona, which is my name. So I renamed it to Trash Can Hands, and those are available. And then the pagination will take us home. And that is the complete navigation of the website. Oh, I also have my Instagram, email, and my Behance for my design portfolio down there. But this is not necessarily a portfolio website, and that's going to be the main difference. This is not a portfolio website. This is, my friend Chaz said, it's a billboard for my thought leadership efforts. And I thought, well, that's pretty. It's pretty good. Pretty good way of thinking about it. But I want to leave you with two thoughts. First thought is code, and this is what I've really been trying to show, walking through these things, that code is a design tool. Okay, it's okay if your code versions don't look exactly like the mockups, because you can iterate, you can make decisions even when you're coding. Got it? Okay. Second thing is, travisnielsen.com/book. Go sign up for the book. I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to be posting about the process of putting the book together and publishing it and everything that goes into it. And I'm going to be talking about that through that email sign up form. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and this is a long video, and I apologize for that, but I really thank you for keeping it to the end, and I have some really, really fun other videos planned coming up. Talk to you soon. Bye.